So what's up, YouTube? This is your boy T-Mash from 2A Syndicate. This is our first time going live. So for those of you that are coming on, I thank you for coming on. When you get on, if you could please hit that like button. We got some really great topics to go over with today. First and foremost, we're going to do school shootings. Have you discussed preparations with your family? Have you discussed preparations with your kids? And all that good stuff. Second topic is going to be the importance of concealed carry training. On top of that, and then thirdly, we're going to go over what USPSA training brings to real life situations. So before we get that going, guys, I got some people I want you to meet. Some of the guys that I train with, and I'm talking boots to the ground guys, and I'm going to bring them in. And after I bring them in, we'll get the whole introduction going. So first and foremost, what is going on? I got Q2. When I say boots on the ground, these guys do what they do. And when I tell you that SD Marine, what's going on? When I tell you that they do their stuff, so Q2 does a lot of he knows firearms from the rooter to the tutor, man. Anything that you got a question about, he's got that answer. He knows a great deal about night vision, all that good stuff like that, man. And I'm talking about when he's building firearms and putting things together. I'm not talking about ordering a PSA dagger and then ordering one piece, the other piece, and putting them together. This guy actually does some machining work. So without further ado, Q2, owner and operator of Red Arrow Concepts. What's up, brother?
How much, man? How you doing?
And I'm doing good, man. Doing good. What you on today?
Not much, man. Just happy to be here. Ready to chat some topics like we always do.
All right. And then secondly, I got my dog Q1. Both of them are Quincy. And Q1 is the guru of Steel Challenge, USPSA. He goes out there, he gets it done, man. He gets in that truck and he's traveling, man, and he's competing. And that's how we get it done. Q, what is going on?
Man, just happy to be here. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
All right, man. I don't know about
I can hear you.
I don't know about all that, man, but thank you for the gracious introduction. But yeah, man, I actually met Q2 at a USPSA event. So accolades to all that, brother. He is the man. Other than that, man, we just try to get it in. We focus on safety, safety, safety. I'm an NRA instructor, USPSA range officer. We really focus on safety, man. So that is what it's all about, brother. You know how we get down.
You know.
I do that. I do for sure, for sure. We got a couple guys that's missing from the group. Kaba GC, what's going on? We have Roadblock, what's good? We have Berto, who is in active military right now. So I don't know what he's doing. He may be hopping on a little bit later. We got a couple firefighters that's in the group as well, Seth and also Jeremy. They couldn't make it tonight. They're off doing, their own thing, man. But before we get started, man, with all this, man, I just want to break it down like this. So I got two boys, man. They are my fly family. What's going on? 15 and 16. One's a freshman, one's a sophomore. They're both going to high school, and we're barely 2 days into. We're barely 2 days, and I would say in the school, the kids are getting there, and then the following week goes, everything's going good. The next week, we start getting some issues. So before I even say anything else, I'm going to let you guys see what happened within the first 2 weeks of my kids' high school.
D. Crown High School, where students have been escorted out of the building. The Kane County Sheriff tells us there is no incident and all students are safe. However, they were called for an active shooter report. The lockdown, they say, is a precaution. Parents should monitor their emails for updates. Again, nothing has been found, and all students at Dundee Crown High School in Carpentersville are safe.
So, following that morning when my wife took the kids to school, the first thing that happened, normally I'm the kind of guy that gets them on the bus, gets them going on the bus, and they're at school by 6:30. But that day, my wife just said, "Hey, I'm going to take them to school. That way they get to sleep in a little bit." And then it is what it was. She drove up to the school. The next thing you know, I get phone calls. Um, I can hear sirens flying by. We had every surrounding county, um, sheriff's departments. We had obviously Illinois State. All the just everyone. We had helicopters. It was just pandemonium. People flying from my block. So I'm gonna get started by saying this. As a father, the first thing I want to do is I want to grab my pistol or my AR and go down there and get my kids. So with that being said, and me doing that, the first thing that happens is if I jump on a scene with anything and I'm coming out with anything, I've now become the active shooter. So at the end of the day, how do you guys feel? And I'll start with the Q2. How do you feel that you could prep for any type of situation or something like that, man? Because it was a little bit crazy.
Yeah, no, man, that's a wild story. I remember when you texted the group and were like, "Yo, there was a shooting at the school. I'm heading there now." I was like, "Hell yeah, man, saddle up and go." But at the same time, it's like you said, where you show up and you've got guns in your hand. Now you're the active shooter, right? Oh shit, Siri's over here listening. Uh, but no, it's. I think it starts kind of at home. You've got to coordinate with your kids. Let me preface by saying I don't have kids, so this is kind of all conceptual in my head. But I think you've got to start off with, hey, here's what you got to do to make sure that you're safe first and foremost. You know, according to what the school's got in place. And then if you feel like that's not adequate, you got to talk to them based on the surroundings that they have, whether it's barricading that door or getting out of there if an escape route is possible, right? And then as a parent, coordinate with your wife as to where you guys are going to meet up, where you're going to be should you get that call. And obviously, I mean, we all conceal carry, right? So you got that on you. And if nobody's going in, it's another Uvalde and everybody's standing around, with their hands in their pocket. Maybe it's time to, saddle up and go. So, but that's, again, it's something you've got to figure out beforehand and kind of game plan and strategize on what you're going to do. But I think most importantly is let your kid know what they need to do for them to stay safe and possibly escape, and then coordinating with your wife or significant other as far as what you two are going to do and where you're going to be.
What about you, Q1?
Man, I'm just going to piggyback off Q2. Number one, it starts with home training. We in the gun community are special because we raise up our own, especially, in and around firearms. The biggest thing to know is, the rules of the road, as they say, especially when it pertains to firearms. One of the things that we're not supposed to do is take them into certain places, certain situations. I'm like Q2. I don't have kids, but if I had kids and I was in your situation, there's no doubt that I would be on my way. That being said, legally we have to protect ourselves. So if anybody's listening to this, I hope that you have some type of insurance along with your firearm. And, the rules of the road. It doesn't matter, you know, some are better than others. All this, as long as you have something to protect yourself. You know, you can pick out through the weeds which company might be better or not better for you, but just have something, have somebody, go with somebody so that you are protected, especially in this state.
Right. I just threw out the link in the chat. So if anybody wants to hop in and comment on it, I could tell you that they at the end said it was swatting, but the biggest issue is that a lot of people heard 6 to 8 gunshots in the area. No one can say where they came from. The police are saying that, you know, they heard them too, but nobody's given an exact definition of where they came from and where they were going. I know they went through and they cleared all the rooms. They had everybody locked down. So once, you know, my wife and them got in there, it took some time for them to get out. So they had barricades and it just kind of went deep all the way in. When she got there, there were police officers outside of the buses that were letting the kids out with weapons drawn. So I can give them that, man. They was ready. They knew what they were going to be doing. They was ready to take somebody down. They were flying through classrooms and clearing the classrooms. But I think the biggest issue is that we didn't get the answers as parents that we needed to hear. It was all kind of a little bit seemed like swept under the rug, a little bit like the kids are okay. It's just swatting. But I could tell you guys this is that last year at the end of the school year, my kid's school got 3. So when are one of these going to become real? And as a parent, what do I do to go forward to prepare them? Am I getting them bulletproof backpacks now? Am I sending them to school with that? And you know, what am I doing now to prepare them for false school shootings, but which one is going to become real?
Yeah, no doubt. And you know, I've given a lot of consideration to you know, how you conceal armor as a student. I was talking to a guy who was in college in the city, Chicago, and trying to come up with a way that he could easily carry some sort of armor and not have it be obvious, right? I mean, you walk in with some obvious armor, somebody's gonna say something probably. Although half these people ain't paying attention anyways, but that's another story. But ultimately, we came up with either you go with some sort of 3A type armor, throw it in the bag. Doesn't even have to be backpack specific. They make 3A panels, and at least you have something. Or they have some incredibly lightweight vests, and I think that's ultimately what he decided with was to go with the vest. But he's got to walk through some pretty sketchy areas, so I think that's why he went the vest route. But there's a lot of great, you know, small lightweight panels that you can just throw in a bag. And if you need to, you can throw that bag in front of you. You've now got a shield. And those books that are in that bag, that laptop, whatever, is some additional protection to kind of bump that up. So honestly, I don't think at this day and age, having some type of armor panel in a bag is a bad idea.
Yeah. Once again, to piggyback off Q2, this is my bag that I carry for work, and I have extra lead lining in it, and it's relatively inexpensive for those who have children.
Gray Guns, what's up?
Hey, it's not any heavier. It's very concealable. A lot of kids don't even know what it is. Just another backpack for them. But most definitely, raise them right and go over this because T Nuts, you know, this was the first week of school, right? They didn't even have time to go over a protocol or anything for an active shooter, did they?
Yeah, they didn't really have time to do any of that. I don't believe that the police was even prepared for something to happen that quickly going through going through school and it to happen. But they did respond, man. They showed up. We had probably about a couple helicopters in the area and stuff like that. It was just kind of complete pandemonium because nobody expected that to happen this early in the year. When last year it happened, like I said, 3 times at the end of the year. This was not even in a 2 weeks really before all of a sudden now they locking down, you know, everything else that's going on.
Okay. Well, I mean, just
So,
yeah,
you
just
know,
the fact that happened at Chapel Hill, you know, a few weeks before. This happened at major universities and high schools. So it's something that we definitely got to, you know, have our eye on.
yep. Is everybody out there still hearing a little bit of a delay or what? You know, we're gonna be on delay a little bit, guys, us in here, but everybody else, Kaba said that he said that it looked like it's a little bit of a delay. How are we doing now, guys? Are we doing okay out there, or is it still a little bit of a delay?
Yeah, I think you got a little bit of delay between your video and your audio. Like, I think cues are all right, but
Okay.
I think you're coming across on a slight lag.
Okay. Let me see what I can do here if this will work a little bit. Armel, what's going on? What's going on?
Oh man, you dropped out. Come on back. I think you got mute.
Did we lose him?
Now, how's that?
Nah, I think that's better.
That's better?
Yeah, that's a little bit better.
Okay. All right. Cool. So, Kaba, how's that? Is that a little bit better? All right. Without second ado, we won't spend too much time on that. I do have some guys out there that really, you know, feel this topic like to the core, and that is the importance of concealed carry training. I will drop the link out there again, guys, if you want to come in and you want to say a little bit something about it. I've talked with a couple of guys out there about it as well, and that is the importance of concealed carry training, because we get a ton of people who get their concealed carry. After they get their concealed carry, they don't do any training afterwards. So it's just a bunch of, you know, guys running around with a concealed gun, which sometimes they ain't too concealed, because I can see most people printing, you know, for the most part, and they haven't really gotten the proper training, man, from concealed carry. And there's been more and more accidents at ranges, especially indoor ranges and things like that, where people are saying they don't feel safe going there because people are allowing them to come in, and some people are acting a fool. I know that this topic is something that I've spoke with Kaba a few times about, man. Feel free, man, to hop in, man, and give your comments or say a few things that you would like to about that. But I'm going to go through the panel, man, and see what you guys' take on the importance of concealed carry training is.
Well, I mean, it's extremely important. And honestly, if you think just because you have a gun in your waistband that all of a sudden you've got a magic talisman that is going to protect you, you're wrong. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You need that training, and you need to continue to train. Just because you went to, say, one class or you went and shot 50 rounds at the range one day, I assure you that is not enough. You know, these dudes are coming in groups of 2 or more constantly, and even if you do get that one shot off, is that enough? No, probably not. You're going to need to get at least a couple more onto that first guy, and then a couple more onto that second guy, and a couple more on the other guy. So you need to be constantly training and learning how your gun works, not like in super detail, but you have an issue. How do you reload it? How do you clear that malfunction? You know, and then not just that, having that kind of mental game of, all right, if this happens here, where can I run to hide? Where can I try and take some sort of cover, concealment? It's more, it goes so far beyond just having the gun in your pants, that you just have to continually work on.
Most definitely. There's training, and more training. Q2 is absolutely right. So many people will purchase a firearm, buy a box of 50 rounds that end up, you know, just sitting there, because at the end of the day, it is an expensive, you know, carrying a firearm is expensive. But with that, you have to continue your training. You know, we all do everything on a timer here. So there's certain things you should know right off the bat. You should know how fast your draw is. I'm not just talking about just like a bill drill. I'm just talking about your everyday cold draw. You should know what that is. Also, you know, you got to train with a group of guys who, whether they've been shooting longer than you or short, or have a shorter amount of time than you. Get outside if you can. Shooting at just paper indoors, sometimes that can be a deterrence, because these people aren't standing still. You're going to have to learn how to get on sites as fast as you can, and just train. I can't say that enough. Sometimes, you know, if you run into a situation, what they say is that you're going to drop to the level of your training, and unfortunately, that's usually the truth. So get out there, train, outside, with somebody reputable. That's all I can say.
Yeah, Armel, SFC, roadblock, y'all, exactly right, man. People are starting to really get lazy when it comes to it. Some of the stuff that I'm starting to see with some of these instructors almost giving away lessons on concealed carry training. Now, I'm okay if you doing a thing, you got a bunch of people and you doing free lessons, but you know, it's got to come with some kind of price, man. Like if somebody's there and you giving lessons away and you giving them away for free, there should be a whole lot of training coming with that. Especially with that concealed carry. The draw is the most important, you know, part of it too. And that's where I agree with Q is that, you know, when I'm there and I'm on the range with these guys and I'm, you know, drawn from concealment or drawn from my side, I have to hold myself to a certain standard. Not only does the draw have to be fast as it could be for me, I'm going to go at the level that I can go at. I'm going to practice that. And dry fire is like super important. And a lot of people leave that out because it's like one of the number one things. Even knowing your gun, if you're not getting that firearm out of that holster and you're not practicing on that present and you're not doing that well, then that's when you end up drawing when you have to. And somebody, you know, puts one in Lil Susie standing behind the person that they're supposed to be protecting and things like that. And that's really not where it's at, man. So we as instructors, man, really need to be careful when we're, you know, dealing out concealed carry license like playing cards. This ain't spades. You know, we're not in there just dealing out concealed carry. You know, we want to make sure that everybody that we send away is comfortable, looks comfortable to us, or don't send them away, guys. And I know from Roadblock, I know from Kaba's in here. I know even with SD Marine, all you guys, Armel, that do a lot of instruction, like we have to make sure that, and I know you guys are on it as well. We just have to make sure, even the people we working with, that when we're sending people out with concealed carry license, man, that we're comfortable with that. If I'm not comfortable with a student going out with a concealed carry license, I'm not giving it to them.
Absolutely.
You know, they can come back and they can retake it and I can work with them a little bit more. We just have to be able to stand our ground with that.
For sure. And then on top of that, with the whole training thing, is it doesn't like obviously you got to do whatever your state requires to get your license. Whether it's constitutional carry, you can just get it and go, or you've got some sort of training. It's the training after that too, right? And especially in today's day and age where YouTube has millions of videos on how do I draw faster, how do I get on target faster, how do I transition faster, how do I reload faster. You type it in, I guarantee you there's a video on it. There's countless training companies that have free public access stuff on the internet that is there for you, and you can just watch it, do it in dry fire. If you don't have access to a outdoor range or a range that kind of lets you draw from concealment, you can just do it in dry fire. You know what I mean? And then I'm sure we'll get to it later, but USPSA is where you can kind of take all of that dry fire practice and implement it into a real situation, right? So there's really no excuse to not be continually learning and getting better. And then the other half of that is, especially if you have some sort of state requirement class that you have to go to, yeah, you'll get some of that law training. And I don't think this is something we talk enough about in the 2A community. Is we talk a lot about the gun, but there is so much more to the laws, like the things that you really need to know before you even pull that gun, in terms of how you deal with the police afterwards, what you should and should not say. I mean, for the most part, it should be, there has been an incident and I need my lawyer. It's really what it comes down to. But there may be times where you have to say something. You know what I mean? You just need to know the laws surrounding when and when you don't need to do that. You know?
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of home dry firing systems, the Mantis X, putting a paper plate on the wall if you can't afford that. There's a lot of things that you can get into dry fire wise that can fit in your budget. I know financially this can get expensive, but with dry fire and getting out to the range and training with somebody reputable, that says everything. That does everything. Also, to piggyback on Q2, USPSA is a fantastic way to get involved with more shooting, whether it's IDPA, USPSA, or even Steel Challenge. Get to train with some like-minded people.
Yeah. Chicago Firearms, what's up? And my man, SD Marine, haven't seen you since the meetup, man. And good to see you, man, on live tonight, man.
Good evening, panel.
Hey, what's going on now?
Nice to meet everybody.
Yes, sir.
And I don't know if you were dropping a link to say or
yes.
Okay, cool. I'm good, man. No, just a Q2, Q1. I mean, to echo that, my approach is you have to crawl before you walk. You got to walk before you run. It's just that simple. And it's been a minute, but again, I know T-Mash and I were talking. We spent, I don't know, hours talking. Training and practice is like I used to tell my officers, right? And I said it plenty of times before. That's free. Empty the weapon out. Put the ammo somewhere, put the magazine somewhere. Practice drawing a weapon. First, find a holster that you're comfortable with if you're going to conceal carry on your body. Either it's appendix, and I know a lot of people don't want appendix carry. However, whatever it feels good to you, however it's comfortable for you, and practice drawing a dry weapon. Practice that. That's easy. That's free,
Yes,
right?
Yes, sir.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
We are lazy, right? As I shouldn't say lazy. Human beings, right? We have other things that go on within our life, and I get that. And watching that video with your children, and I know you two said you don't have any, and it's a hard thing as a parent, and I understand that.
Yeah.
Right. That's the first thing. Grab your stuff. Let's roll out. and let's do what we need to do. But there is a process, and I understand that there is a process now,
Yeah.
or I understood there was a process then, but I understand where I am now that I got to let that process play out. But it's getting back to the training aspect. I mean, dry fire again. That's free. That's free. Getting to know and I hate to use this. No, I don't hate to use this example. I use this. Knowing your firearm, getting intimate with your firearm. That's free. It's free, right? And
Yep.
and it 5-10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. Just practice drawing. And then you work on to another, and then you go into another skill set.
Yep.
Then another skill set, and you
Yep.
build off that basic foundation. That's just how I explain to my students.
Yep.
Here's a foundation, right? So the foundation has already been laid. It's up to you to get the materials to build your own house. I will help you and guide you along the way, but you got to put the work in.
Right.
You know, and again, I don't know you, but I can say you all are solid dudes. You're solid instructors from what I'm hearing. Yeah, it's too many people that want to conceal carry, and you know, I'm all for that. Do whatever it is you want to do, but understand that there's a responsibility behind that. It's not just what Q2 said. A gun in your waistband, on your hip, whatever the case may be. It's not the Thanos glove. You know what I mean? It's snap my fingers and everything, problem solved.
Yeah,
It's
you
not
ain't
that.
slapping nobody away.
It's not that. There's a huge responsibility behind that. Huge responsibility. And then there's also that mindset of understanding if I have to put work in, right, there's that aftermath, right? There's an emotional thing that's going to happen. There's a mental thing that's going to happen to not only you, your family, and then on down the road.
Yeah.
Right. It's I don't know if people fully understand that or not.
It's deep. It's
it,
deep.
it is really deep, really
Yeah.
deep. Right. It's not one of those things where, you know, I'm a penis carrying and I just lift up my shirt and be like, hey, so what we're gonna do? It ain't that.
Right.
I'm that
Can't do
guy.
that.
No, yeah, I'm that guy.
Brandon.
You know what?
Yep.
If I bump into you, first thing that's coming out of my mouth, my bad, I'm sorry. And I'm moving on. Right?
Man,
Mhm.
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
If I knock a beer out your hand, hey man, let me go ahead and replace that.
There you
And
go.
I'm moving on.
For sure.
Now, that earnest is on that other person, what he or she decides to do. Right? But my thing is, because of that, what I have is to de-escalate and move on.
Yep.
Right?
Yes, sir.
That's just my 2 cents.
I think SD Marines, to piggyback what you're saying, is a lot of people don't realize that, and you could tell the difference in the ones who's put in the training and put in the work, because that's not their be all to end all, is to start some trouble. Their be all to end all is to get away from the trouble because they respect the firearm, they respect the training and what goes along with it. And I think a lot of times people think it's a free for all. A lot of times. And just like Kaba was saying, complacency to the point where they start thinking that, hey, this is my chance now to show how, you know, how big I am and what I can do to defend myself. I know a person who got his concealed carry just to get it taken away because he was at a party and somebody bumped into him. He was talking to somebody's girl. He lifted up his shirt and showed, hey, look what I got. You don't want to mess with me. And the dude turned around and called the law. And the law came, and that was it. So his freedom that he didn't have, that he did have, that he just knew about, all of a sudden now is taken away. So now he's in that echelon where he can't afford to protect himself as well as his family because of the decisions he made. And what's going on, Dennis Dixon?
Nah, that's a fact. I mean, I won't use my instructor's exact word, but he basically said you gotta, check your ego at the door
Yes, sir.
and allow things to slide off your back like water.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. Every bullet you send has a lawyer attached, and that stuff adds up. So
Yes, sir.
it is not worth it. Plus, like Chicago Firearms, right? Like you were saying, is like the mental aspect afterwards, man. Like that stuff can really do damage to your psyche. You know what I mean? Especially if that person ends up losing life. Like that's tough to recover from.
Yeah, I know that everybody on this panel, that's the last thing that you would want to happen. When you conceal carry, your responsibility as a citizen goes even higher. So, like my brother was saying, if you bump into somebody or step onto somebody's shoe, I'm more graceful than ever now because you want to de-escalate every situation that you're in. Again, I can't say it enough. Look into getting some type of carry insurance. T-Nuts, it's on you.
Yeah, Seth, how's it going, man? Good to see you, man. I'm glad. How's the wife doing, buddy?
She's doing all right. I could just pop in for a little bit, I guess, but yeah.
Yeah, we just kind of right before you get on, and Seth, guys, is a part of the team, man. He's a range rat as well. He is an active firefighter, and they train a little bit. Well, I wouldn't say a little bit or a lot, but they train on these active shooters, and that's kind of what we started off with, Seth. If you can just kind of put in your 2 cents on how you guys train for that, what you look for, because of the situation I went through as a parent. I found myself, even though I do all the training and all that stuff like that, just like SD Marine said, there's a pecking order that falls in. If I go running in there like, Rambo, now I'm all of a sudden the active shooter because nobody knows that. So what's sort of kind of the training that you guys do and what you prep for?
No, absolutely. I agree with that sentiment too, that if you're just kind of introducing yourself like that, you're just one more unknown, as they kind of call it. What I will say is I do a lot of training with fire and law enforcement as far as active shooters, active threat goes, and there's just a ton of unknowns, and it's we've seen the good of it, the bad of it. It all kind of started with Columbine, and we've seen it kind of rear its ugly head as far as Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. Remember the Parkland shooting, and people not reacting, and as recently as Uvalde, and I could see how people would really, really want to do that, and it's kind of I don't blame a lot of people for trying to do that kind of thing, but it's like if you go in there, it's just like your regular everyday encounter. If you did have to use your defensive weapon, it would be like that's my biggest fear: somebody else seeing you and being like, I don't know who it is, So.
Mm-hmm.
SD Marine, have you had any encounters like that, while you were dealing that profession as well?
The process we put our students through was active shooter training or active threat, right? So, and again, they worked single man, 2, all the way up to a 4-man unit, right? Now, and that was just one of my pet peeves. If you hear it, it goes out. You better be on your way. Period. Right. And if you're the first man there, you better be going in. Don't wait for anybody else. You better be the first one in.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
I'm not waiting on anybody else. I'm going in and I'm going to do work. So, what happened during that time, and I hate to fall back to it, in Uvalde, it was tragic, right? Be it for me, be it a high school, be it an elementary school, a church, a mall, whatever the case may be, right? I took an oath to serve the citizens of the state that I'm in, right? And again, if it went out, if it goes out on the radio, I'm on my way, right? I can say it now. So I was put in an administrative role. I worked in training, so I didn't wear my body armor. I mean, I used to wear it faithfully, and then I got to a point where I was like, all right, so I'm in the office, yada 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 yada. But even still, call comes out, I'm on the way, I'll throw it on when I get there, and or you know what, may not be that time. I got to go do work. I'm not trying to be a hero or anything like that. I just know it's time to do work. Because there are lives being lost.
Yep.
Right. And I got to stop this thing or make an attempt to. Right.
Yep.
Even what was that? Not too last year, I guess. Was it in Illinois? The mall. The guy with the mall, was it Illinois or Tennessee or somewhere like that?
That was Indiana.
That was Indiana.
Indiana.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And my man did what he did work.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Yep.
Right. So what the extent of his training was, I have no idea. But he did work, and he did work without body armor.
Yep.
Right. He was a concealed carrier. So it's there. We don't know what circumstances we'll be in. But if it happens, are you prepared? Here's the thing: are you prepared?
Yes, sir.
That's that thing. And we go back to we fall back to mindset. A lot of folks, concealed carry, you don't have a duty to defend other people. You don't have a duty to.
Right.
But are you prepared to step in that role if you have to?
Right.
That's just one of my biggest questions in a class. You don't have to, but are you prepared to step into that role if you have to?
Yeah.
Right.
I think have to is a big question. What does
Yeah.
have to mean to you?
What does have to mean to me?
Yes.
So if it's me, and it goes back to what T Mash was saying and everybody else is saying, my wife and I and the boys, we've already talked. If something happens and it's in that arena, you all go beat feet the other way, I'm going to do work.
There you go.
You follow what I'm saying? And again, I'm not saying that because I'm beating my chest and I want to be anybody's hero or whatever the case may be. As long as my family can get to safety, it's time to go do some work. Right? Because I
For the betterment of everybody is what you're saying.
Right. Because I don't know. I don't want to go back and think, well, you know what? I had this thing, shoulda, coulda, woulda, but I didn't.
Yeah.
And that's a heavy thing to bear as well. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, but I didn't. And now there are more bodies being stacked up. Now, innocent people, kids, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Right. And it's too many lives at stake. And if somebody's coming in and somebody's an active shooter, and that was my fear. My fear is this: you don't know where your child is, and I got two of them in that school.
Yes.
I got one upstairs and I got one downstairs, and all I get is there's an active shooter. So when I get an active shooter call, I'm freaking out at this point, like trying to think as a parent, what are my kids doing right now? Are they trying to get to the nearest exit? Are they trying to go out the window? Like, what are they doing at this point? So, I mean, I could tell you this: law enforcement in my area, they did their job. I'll give them that. And I would say that because they did their job, it made me feel a little bit better. I mean, they've been there all week. They should have been there. Like I said, it happened 10 days ago. You go up there, they still got a ton of law enforcement still going around because last year, like I said, we got 3 at the end of the year last year. So then we got 1. So everybody now is waiting for the shoe to drop. And you're waiting for the shoe to drop because at this point, it's like, when is it actually going to happen? Are you going to be ready? Are your kids going to be there? How are you going to be able to, withstand thinking that you're not there to protect your kids? That's the scariest part for me as a father, is that I can't get in there and I can't go do work. I have to depend on them to do it. And that we were put in that situation, me and my wife both, for the first time, that our kids are somewhere we can't get to, and we can't get in, we can't save the day. We have to depend on law enforcement to do what they say they were going to do, and they showed up. And so I feel it makes me feel a little bit easier about my police force out here and how they reacted to the situation. So that was the biggest thing to me. Active shooter wise, I agree with SD Marine. If I'm there, I'm going to try to get my wife and kids to safety, because if somebody does rip off, nobody's looking for a target. They're looking for targets with an S. They are just going rampant, blasting whoever, whatever they can. So if you turn your back and you're running, trying to get your wife or your kids to safety, you or them may take one in the back if you don't turn around and do work. So you got to make sure that they are where they need to be, and you got to get done what you need to if it calls for that, I guess.
T-Nuts, just to piggyback off of that, I serve at church. And as you know, churches, high schools, all of those places are soft targets for active shooters. We train constantly. If a scenario happens, what is going to be the outcome? You can't control everything. So what you have to do is you at least have to have the mindset of what can happen and what you're going to do in that situation. We train up to that situation.
Right. And I want to go to the comments, because Kaba said he would say upward toward 80% of concealed carry holders haven't drawn their weapons and done live fire. So Kaba, with you making that statement, do you feel that that's a start of the instructor, or it's something that the instructor should recommend and then wipe his hands and turn his back and say, okay, so now the rest of it is on you? I would love to hear what your remedy to that would be, or what you feel that lies on. I know it's a little bit of both, but at the same time, you get these guys out there and these girls out there with this concealed carry, and you don't know if they've even been taught how to do that. If instructors are dishing out, giving classes afterwards, saying, hey, I'd like you guys to sign up for this class after you take your concealed carry license, or they're just turning their back and walking away. Because I do agree with that.
Totally.
I'll jump in there. I'll say this. I think the onus starts with whoever that instructor is that gave them the concealed carry class, to at least say, hey, it doesn't stop here, right? Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, your instructor is not going to be there all the time to say, hey, you need to dry fire today. Did you dry fire today? When was the last time you dry fired? Or when was the last time you did XYZ? So the onus is, at the end of the day, it's on you. You have to have that self-awareness of, hey, I'm not at the skill to be able to handle majority of these situations that are out there, and to do those kind of self-assessments and reevaluate where you are. Like, I mean, it don't take much. Go look online at what some of these dudes are capable of, where they're drawing at, or go and look at some of these videos and see how much time people have from the time that, like, people are jumping out of cars and a gun's in your face. It ain't much.
Right.
So if you got a 3-second draw and you got a 2-second problem to solve, and it ain't much you can do. So you need to get your draw time down. You need to get all your mechanics in and do all that stuff. So It's a lot more to it than just getting that from the instructor.
Well, Q1, Q2, Seth, I'd like to introduce you guys to Kava Sports, man. Kava GC, he's like really in the community, man. He's doing a lot of great things for the community. He's a great instructor. He's got a lot of good things coming out, man. I really enjoy talking to this brother, man. When I talk to him, he's very serious about firearms and concealed and carry instruction. So without further ado, Kava, I would love to hear what you got to say about this, my brother.
What's going on, fellas?
Hey,
Nice to meet you.
Hey, good evening.
Hey, yeah, it's it's kind of a double-edged sword because you want people to be armed, but you want them to be educated. So for me, because I've taught enough and so many people, and have seen the return rate so low, and I've talked to 2A about this, is that I'm kind of shifting, how I teach. I'm moving away from concealed carry to reach the people who need their training beyond that, because I've got to a point where I feel I'm doing my students a disservice if I send them out, with their CCL and they're not properly trained. So you can only give them what the state requirements are. And then at that point, it's up to them from there. You can't, you're not going to beat down somebody's door to try to force them to train. So for me, I'm stepping away from the concealed carry part of it, which I'll still do, and I'm more so focusing my energy on reaching those people who need that training beyond that, who already have their CCL or their 4A card here in Illinois.
Okay.
And I think the biggest, and correct me if I'm wrong, gents, it's just, I guess it is what it is, right? We long gone are the days of getting a box of 9 mil for, I don't know, what was it, $12 maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah. You talking about when it used to be 17 cents a round, 16 cents a round?
Right.
Days ago, baby.
Days are gone, right? And then it's sacrifice. A lot of people don't want to sacrifice that time or weekend, right? Because of other things, and I kind of understand it, but again, once this weight has been put on you, me personally, it's your responsibility. It's almost your duty, because you're not proficient. Right?
Yeah, I am, Dennis. Yeah, I'm just answering the core question for Dennis. Yes, it's me and another instructor that I work with, that we do like one-on-one training beyond the state minimum requirements.
That's just, I wish there was an answer other than, and again, I won't force anybody to do anything. I say, look, man, you know what? Get a 22. It's a little bit cheaper.
That is true.
But you're getting trigger time in.
You can do. If you don't have the money, you can get a 22 for, I think the TX22 is what, like $250? 500 rounds of 22 is what, $70?
Yes.
And you can run that for a long time.
Okay.
And you can build those fundamentals, right?
Yeah.
You still, and take the 9 mil with you, take a box of ammo, train with the 22, but you still got to get some reps with the 9, right?
Yeah.
Now, let me step in real quick here. Is that the one thing that I notice what takes place with a lot of people in the range is that they tend to they kind of like have a false sense of their abilities because they're able to keyhole a target, at 7 yards, and they're taking their time doing it. So I'm not impressed by that,
No.
So that kind of stuff to me, is giving some people a false sense of what their true abilities are. So for me, I kind of stay away from, those kind of ranges unless I have to go qualify somebody, because you're really not giving those people a sense of what they're up against, because you have moving targets. We all know this kind of stuff, it's not going to be at the pace you want to be at. and real talk is that a lot of students that I talk to and a lot of people who have their concealed carry, surprise, surprise, they don't know the difference between point shooting and sight shooting. And 99.9% of the time that you're in an incident, and I will probably say 100% of the time, unless you're able to post up somewhere and take a time shot, is that it's going to be a point shoot situation.
Yeah.
So people aren't even trained beyond that. They don't even know the difference beyond that. So listening to people talk, that been taught by different instructors and things like that, that just put in my head, look, I need to stop. I need to stop with this, giving all these people the ability to carry, and focus on training the people who can't carry, and kind of get those people up to speed and tap into that.
No, and I agree, Kava, 100%. But like I said, I mean, this is just me, and I didn't mean to cut you, right? The guy that I assist, I help, and we said every single class. It's been a minute since we did one, but every single time, you know what? Don't stop here. And I've said this: you can contact me. It's a day. It's a day for me. I will come out and we'll work on whatever. I'll answer any questions, whatever. Kind of like what you're saying, right? All you got to do is show up. That's all I'm saying. Show up. Give me a time. Show up. I'm going to be there 30 minutes prior to that setting up. Show up.
Let me ask you this for the guys that are concealed carry instructors. Have you given some consideration to maybe doing, like, you come to my class, you get your license, and then I'll give you like a half off, an hour of one-on-one time or something like that. So that way you kind of maybe incentivize them to, hey, I'll come back and get some extra training. And then if you do that, do you see people take you up on that or not?
To be honest with you, the return rate is pretty low. Unfortunately, a lot of us are just happy to say we're able to carry a firearm. That's the real part of it. That a lot of us are just happy to say we can carry. But
it should not be the truth.
Right. Yeah. But at the end of the day, like I said in the comments, look, I'm going to tell you, dude, I can have a conversation with you and you won't know I'm vetting you. And just from a couple conversations, a couple sentences, I can tell if you practice, if you've ever drawn from a holster. And you don't know I'm doing it to you. Yeah. But I can pretty much tell, if you're a person that trains. And it's just an unfortunate thing, that there's not enough of us out here that take this serious. Some people are turning this 2A thing into a sideshow, which is not meant to be that. This is something that we have to be serious about. Especially us as minorities, we can't afford to be out here just looking bad, with firearms. We just can't. If you're going to be an instructor, if you're going to be somebody that carries, then you need to be well trained at what you're doing.
Do you guys maybe want to explain to the group or the chat, everyone who's following, Illinois concealed carry versus the rest of the country, maybe, because you guys are referring heavily to, you have to pass this test, you have to do this. I mean, I don't know who's watching right now. It just might be an idea.
Yeah, and most of the people in the chat, I know exactly who they are. So,
Sure.
And I don't know which states require what, but Illinois requires a 16-hour minimum. A 16-hour minimum class before you are allowed to apply for your CCO license through the state of Illinois. Yeah. Okay. And I think in Indiana it's I think that's the constitutional carry.
Constitutional.
I was just about to say,
which Illinois is extremely unconstitutional.
Right. Yeah. So I'm not sure of the other states, but whatever state it is, if you own a firearm, training should be mandated as part of that. That's my personal opinion.
That's your opinion, yes.
Yeah, that's just my personal opinion. But it's no different from driving a vehicle. Of course you have to pass a test, But to me, there needs to be more training beyond that too. So
Yeah.
it's
So where do the limits end, in your opinion?
Yeah. It's just a bad situation where I say people need to train more. Period. It's just that
Where do the
simple.
training limits end, in your opinion, for
Well,
firearms?
they never end because as an instructor, even though I'm a teacher, I'm still a student myself.
Yeah.
So it never ends. It's always something relevant that's going to be out. That can help you become a better instructor. I mean, it's just a lot of things that you can do different as an instructor. That can help you grow and can help your students. And I'll give you an example. Like now, as of recent. One thing I'm starting to do now with my students is I'm starting to ask every student in my class a mobility question. Because of course we're all taught when we watch things, this is the master grip and all these kind of things, right? You have some people that may have a limited range of motion, that their wrists and things can't move the same way our wrists can. So you have to try to find ways for them to be able to grip a firearm that's comfortable for them. So being a teacher doesn't mean I know everything. Just me being a student as well, helps me become a better instructor.
Absolutely. I can piggyback off that a little bit, Kava, because before I was a firearms instructor, I was a golf instructor. And in golf, we got everybody on the panel, and everybody on the panel has a different size to them, a different shape, a different arm length. And as an instructor, I couldn't teach everyone the same thing. I had to teach them things that was according to their ability and what they could do and how their shape is. So at that point, it wasn't a thing that, hey man, I'm an instructor, you need to listen to me. Some people had to be taught according to their ability, according to their size, according to their strength, and according who they were. And you make them better. That's your job as an instructor, is to make them better than who they were when they came to you, or you're failing every single time. Chicago Mike, what's going on?
So I think the question Seth was trying to get at was, and correct me if I'm wrong, Seth, but
Go ahead, Q.
So you were saying that the state should require training, and
I didn't
where
say
does
that.
that end, right? Is that what you're trying to get at? Is where
I
does
didn't say the state should require training.
No, I know you didn't say that. Kaba, right?
Yeah. Me. That's
saying
just.
that. I think Seth was saying.
Yeah.
Where
That's
does
just
that,
my personal opinion.
Where does that stop?
But that's just my personal opinion.
I think the state should not require training.
Well, the reason why I say that, and like I said, this is just my opinion. If you choose to do something, and it's falling into something else, like if you choose to carry a firearm, then you should be mandated in a sense to be well trained at it. And when I say that, is that it's enough of us out here who have their CCLs that don't even know the fundamentals well. They're still teacupping. They don't know how to clear malfunctions. And I'm not saying you have to just continually do it. But I'm just saying there should be something that mandates fundamentals training and basic safety rules training. And like I said, that's just my personal opinion. And this is from what I see from people who actually has their concealed carry weapons.
Yeah, you do.
Just based on that, because like I said, if I teach a class and if I teach a class of say for instance like 30 people, and I have one other instructor in in that class, and I may not be able to answer everybody's question because I'm trying to get done in this 16 hours. And I may have glossed over or forgotten about this person and what they said. And I went to the range and I've just put them through a conveyor belt and just got them to qualify, just so they can get their CCL. I don't feel comfortable as an instructor, not really knowing that I had hands on with people. So I don't teach more than 6 to 10 people in the class for myself. Yeah. Because I want to make sure they know their fundamentals right. So this is why I kind of say that a bit, and that's for that reason, is because most people that have their concealed carry they don't even know the basic fundamentals like they should, or even the 4 basic safety rules.
So,
Going into these ranges, man, and I don't mean to be long, and I don't mean to be long-winded, but going into these ranges and seeing these people who say, yeah, man, I got my concealed carry, I got my FOID, and their teacup in hand on the wrist, that
Flagging everybody.
yeah, flagging everybody, those kind of things. It's because I see so much of the wrong things taking place is the reason why I feel that way. Because I'm on the instructor side of it. And I see the people who have their concealed carry still not really doing things the way they should do it.
So here's what I gotta say. I could what should be required, in my opinion, should be 0 from a government mandated thing. The onus is on you if you're gonna engage in this two-way responsibility. It's on you. But I could go on about that for hours. But I can see it from an instructor point of view, where like you see all these people coming in, their grip is fucked up, their aim is fucked up, their trigger control is fucked up. Everything is just all types of wrong. But at the same time, it's on them at the end of the day. Now, if they're going out and seeking that training, you do the best that you can do with the time that you have. But at the end of the day, it's on them. And
I could not agree with that more from not a firearm instructor, but from a CPR instructor point of view, from a stop the bleed instructor point of view. It's really on the individual. I wish more than anything it was not on us or not on you, although I give you nothing but accolades for being a firearm instructor in Illinois. I really do. All you guys that are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I totally agree with that too. It's something that we need to, like, I love Kaba's approach to it, is that after that talk, we should be trying to get them to come back and take classes. But as you said, the return on investment is low. So at that point, what do we do as instructors? Do we start to try to put a little bit of that? And that's really not the mandate for the 16-hour class. Like if you're telling somebody that they need to conceal and carry, why is that not a part of 16 hours?
If you talk to me when I first took it, I was not that interested. I didn't have the bite yet.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. I just wanted the license. I wanted the card, and that was it.
Well, here is one of the reasons why, I feel the return is so low, is that people don't take this seriously.
Agreed.
They just want to say, I have this paper, I have this card or whatever it is, and I can do this. Everybody, just because we have the right to do it doesn't mean some of us should. And for me to be an instructor going into these different, buildings and watching people and me being on the streets, just watching people, that's not somebody I would put my trust in, if I had to go, into battle with, or if something took place that I can go, you know what, this person is well trained at what they do, so if we have to draw our weapon, I know this person has drawn his weapon before and done live fire and won't shoot himself in the damn thigh, because he's never done it before, or he's never, been through the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to where he's had to pull up his shirt, lock in on his gun up. So that kind of stuff is why, in my mind, I should think, and I'm not saying like government mandated. I'm not saying government mandated. But if you're going to take the responsibility, of owning a firearm, which we know can take a life and save a life, then you should be responsible enough to say, I need to make sure I get this training to make sure I'm proficient at what I'm doing. Now anybody who does the USPSA or the IDPA, none of you guys are going to go, okay, you know what? I bought me a CZ Shadow 2. Now I'm going to be able to compete with the JJ Ricardos and stuff like that. No,
that's not the way it works.
Right? You follow what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? So you're going to train to get better, right?
Yes, indeed.
So just because somebody bought the right belt, the right holster, the right gun, doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to draw that weapon the way they should. It's not going to. They're not going to be sub 1.5 to get to get that gun out from concealment. So to me, that's why stuff like that, in my mind, should be mandated. Because, like I said, you're a liability to yourself and others if you don't train beyond, the state minimum requirements.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're T-Mash, you got that 1.5 all day.
Burn it down, kid.
Hey, run it down. And I'm telling you, Seth, when we went out to the range, and yeah, so I don't try to speak on it much. I got my sub-second draw from concealed. I got my sub-second draw from the side.
I'll
But
speak on it for you, man.
Yeah, dry firing, man, is what does it, dude. Like, you have to be able to get there. So the dry firing allowed me to work at my speed, and it took steps. I just didn't come out and say, "Hey, dude, I can put one on the A zone in a sub-second, with my firearm from concealment." It took some practice, man, and it kind of goes back to what we talked about point shooting. A lot of people has never really even tried point shooting, even when they go to a range and anything like that.
There's actually a question. I'm sorry to interrupt. There's actually a
go
question on your live about that a little bit ago.
I
don't know if
I
you could
saw
scroll
that
back
about
and answer that.
it was point shooting, and
You
I'm
wanted to
pretty
differentiate.
sure. Yeah.
What up, firearms? Yeah. I don't think I saw it. Really, when it comes down to it, if you're unsure about something, put yourself around people who are better than you. Who can help you, who can help you. Like I said, I see it too much in the range, to where, some guy got his concealed carry. Now he thinks he can teach somebody else how to hold a firearm, all these kind of things. And, oh yeah, man, you got to this, you got to that, don't know how to, it's just a big mess, and just being serious about it to me. And I'm very passionate about it, and, you just have to take it serious, and to give you an example, a couple weekends ago, me and some guys were out doing some training at Bondfield. And I don't know if any of you guys are in Illinois and know where Bondfield is, out in Kankakee, the ISRA. And we were doing some concealed carry threat training. So I had one guy who carries at like his 4 o'clock, more like 5. And and like I said, I watch everything. So I called them up, and I said, do me a favor, and I want you to stand by that target. And I acted like I was going to walk away. Now his weapon was clear at this point, but I acted like I was going to walk away. And then I turned around and I pinned him to the wall and I said, get your gun. And he couldn't get it because it was in his back. So I said, not practicing is the reason why you thought it was okay to carry a gun at 5 o'clock. Now, because I put you in that position to where I have your ass pinned to the wall and you can't get your gun, my whole job as an instructor is to make you think and become better and try to do things differently to where you can prepare yourself. Now he said, you know what, dude, I'll stop carrying that way now. Now I carry at either 3 o'clock or appendix. So that's the whole point of an instructor, is to make people think and get better. I like to expose the deficiencies of people.
Yep.
Just so they can get better. So that's the whole.
You should.
Yeah. So that's the whole part of being an effective instructor, is having conversations with people, stirring the pot a little bit, get everybody talking different and saying different things, and then put them on the spot in that moment to see how they will respond if they were in that position. So that's what being an effective instructor is to me. And that's why I say training beyond the state minimum requirements to me should be a must.
So to answer Armel, he put should point shooting training come before sight shooting? And here's my take on it, and it's my opinion. So absolutely not. First off, um, but point shooting has a lot to do with the basic fundamentals, and I say that because
Can you
when
define
I'm
both, T, please?
yes, I will. So point shooting is you're not acquiring your sights when you bring your firearm up. You're not acquiring your sights. You're not looking through your red dot. You're just aimed at the target and you're shooting. Now, versus sight shooting, well, of course, you got your sights out. You're looking through your sights. You're looking through your red dot. But point shooting, and I'll say it like this: for the most part, and I'm sure SD Marine can probably agree more. Any of you guys that are in, um, law enforcement, and I have a couple buddies that are in law enforcement, have the best firearms, have the best red dots, and both of them got into a close quarters situation. Neither of them had a chance to bring that firearm up, look through a sight, get a sight picture, and say freeze. They were on the spot like that. They had to respond. They had to do work. They didn't have time for no red dot. I'm telling most of you guys that are out there that's thinking that if you are going to be in some kind of close quarters, you got time to get that thing up, sighted in and ready. A lot of times it's just defending, and a lot of times it's when you know the least. You don't see it coming. So I can explain this with point shooting. As children, and I know I did, we all had squirt guns, right? Squirt guns, Nerf guns, some kind of toy gun that you didn't bring up and that you didn't acquire sights before you shot. I was deadly accurate with a squirt gun. People hated playing with me because I would shoot you right in the eyeball every single time without fail. That's point shooting because I didn't have time to acquire sights and everything like that. It was the basic fundamentals of having my hands on that gun, being able to look you in the eye and being able to squirt that water right at your eye and get it. People hated playing with me. That is a part of it. A long time from as being kids, that was our natural aiming is from point shooting with Nerf guns and all of that stuff like that. And so I just adapted that, and it wasn't until I tried it, and it wasn't until I calmed down and said, I've done this before. And I can pretty much, and I got, Seth on, I got Q1, Q2, who see me do it numerous times in a sub-second without fail. And if I'm off, I'll be a little bit off, but I'm not that much off the A zone. If I'm trying to go real fast and I'm going faster than my ability, okay, now I'm wild. I got to dial it back down. But I can sub-second at an A zone and hit the A zone from concealment and my side holster.
Yeah, I think a lot of kind of going back to the original question Armel posted is obviously no. Like T said, do your sighted shooting, get good at that, and along with that, you'll develop that natural point of aim, and you'll gain that ability. Then you can practice that once you feel comfortable and you're ready for it, right? Um, and kind of going back to its importance and like majority of the people in these close engagements don't see their sights. I think Aaron Cowan was talking about some of his force on force classes, and he said, I think 60 to 70% of the people that once the scenario was done, he would ask, hey, did you see your sights? And they would come back with the answer of no.
No.
So,
No.
I think it's definitely an important skill to have. I don't think it's something you need to spend hours of training on, especially live fire. I think it'd be worth it, maybe in some dry fire here and there. But yeah, it comes down to, just having those basic fundamentals and knowing when you may need to employ that. That's why, like, my goal for next year is definitely to get into force on force class. I think that's.
I would really like to do that as well. I can speak to something way, way, way less stressful. But my first USPSA match ever, I shot it with my buddy Jeremy, who's not on here right now, but he shoots with us quite often. And I remember shooting my first match ever and saying, I didn't see my sights once after it. I swear, I talked to him. I was like, I was too excited. I didn't know, man. It was like that timer went off. It was point shooting the whole time. I didn't do
Yeah.
well. I'm just saying. It was like that little bit of a stress inoculation, just like that little bit, a little bit.
So I was looking
But that
to
helps.
further. I was looking to further my training, and I had, and this is the first time I actually started talking to Kava, and he was telling me to go to Eagle, and that's how I first started going to Eagle, and also Mike the Shooter, Chicago Mike the Shooter was telling me both of you guys were DMing me and saying, hey, you need to go here, you need to check it out. So I started checking it out, and for everybody who knows me knows I was never doing competition shooting. I was always doing combat training. And so going in and stepping into USPSA has actually really rounded me as like personally as a shooter. Because what I found out was is that in combat training and doing all that, it wasn't a lot of shooting on the move. It wasn't it was reloading on the move, but it wasn't a lot of shooting on the move. And it wasn't a quick acquire of different targets while you're on there. And that's where all of a sudden, as I started training with USPSA, I started noticing this is more likely, and this is how I felt again, guys, this is my opinion. This is more likely the situation I would get into in the real world. And so I started thinking about it, started doing a little bit less of combat training and a little bit more of USPSA, and it's made me a better shooter, both doing that training, but as far as USPSA. So I just kind of wanted to get you guys' take on what you feel USPSA training brings to real life situations. Because it's a lot of close quarters. It's a lot of obviously drawing from either concealment or side holster, and it's a lot of quick acquiring. The only thing that you don't want to get into is getting accustomed to double taps all the time. But if you train all the time, you really won't get accustomed to double taps all the time. So, I asked Chicago Mike. He used to do a lot of USPSA, and weren't you a part of the Chicago team at one point?
Yeah, that's right.
So, how did you get into that, man? And how do you feel about that as far as it bringing some perks to real life situations?
So I started doing competition like I say about 2 years ago, on and off. And I was doing a lot of research on, you know, does USPSA bring real life situations into situations that you might come into contact one day. And I've watched some videos on YouTube on some of these professional shooters saying that a lot of stages that were designed that you are going to see in the real future one day. And as you're putting rounds through those targets, and as you're shooting at that target, with whatever gun that you carry is going to help. But the question is, are you going to be doing open carry all the time, or are you going to shoot from inside the waistband or appendix carry? Now, I don't see a lot of shooters shooting from a concealed carry or appendix carry, and to me, that's a big question on my end. So I even tried it one day. Um, I haven't got a lot of practice in it, but in my opinion, I would say I would get more into doing concealed carry at a USPCA shooting match instead of just open carry, because of the fact that we can't open carry in the state of Illinois.
Right.
So
True.
the fact that
True.
if you're going to come to a situation where you have to use your firearm, the question is, are you going to start shooting from concealment in
Well,
this carry or 3 o'clock?
Seth actually got me shooting from concealment. When I went to the last match, I noticed that he was shooting from concealment, and they allowed it. And so I'm like, hey, he's like, yeah, just go up to the guy and let him know that you want to shoot from concealment. And
Mhm.
man, that really it made the entire stage different, and I actually liked it because I'm more used to shooting from concealment anyway. So now being able to bring that into USPSA, man, was crazy, and I was freaking out at first because I'm like, Seth, how are they allowing you? I didn't think they allowed it until I saw him do it. He's the only person that I know, Seth, that has always shot from concealment.
Yeah. Can I piggyback off of that?
Go ahead.
It's allowed now in USPSA, and
Mhm.
I think it's really been coming around. I see it a lot more in matches, especially within the last 6 months. Being a range officer, we also see it a lot in Steel Challenge. People drawing from concealment, and it's real world. I need to start doing it more, but of course, when you're shooting USPSA, you're always worried about your time. Well, shooting USPSA is going to make you a better shooter, whether it's concealment or you're coming off from the hip. A lot more people are doing it. A lot more people you may have to change your rig to accommodate another mag. But if you're going to take shooting competition seriously and you're going to shoot from concealment, we see it a lot more. I'm telling you, brother, it's really coming out.
And a good thing about USPSA, you meet a lot of professional shooters that you can always ask questions for help. I mean, some of them
Absolutely.
may give you, their honest answers. Some of them won't. Some of them are just there to focus on them, and
I'd
and
say
that's
most
okay.
people are really good guys, though.
Yeah, they are. They
Yeah.
are. And let's just say, like, oh, if you have the same exact gun and something goes wrong with your gun, they might let you shoot their guns.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
you run out of ammo, they may share ammo with you. And that's what I like about the USPCA community. It lets you,
Yeah.
like, you meet new people. They'll give you some advice. They'll tell you, like, hey man, good job. Even if you didn't do your best in one of the stages, they'll still tell you, I'm like, hey man, good job. At least you tried, and you didn't
Oh,
shoot
man.
yourself in the foot, and you didn't
That's
get DQ'd, and none of that.
Yeah.
that's how I got into this group of guys right here. Just
How about this?
bullshitting with guys through that. Seriously, everybody,
Yeah.
there's some good people, man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's a sport where it's very volunteer driven. And a lot of times, we don't have enough people out there doing what they need to be doing, but that's a whole nother subject. That's a whole nother conversation for another day. I'm gonna leave that alone. Go ahead, T Nuts.
No, but I see you quiet, SD Marines. Is that something that you've never done, USPSA or competition shooting in that aspect?
No, I've shot USPSA when I was still employed. I've done the TPC or Tactical Police competition, and it's USPSA mixture of USPSA and 3-gun. So I think it's phenomenal. It's good training. It makes you critically think because you may, um, and it's set up differently now for USPSA and TPC. I hadn't shot in a while, but if you have blind stages, you don't know where the shoots and no shoots are. So you may break the threshold of a room, and it may be nothing but no shoots in there, right? So you have to one, plan the stage out. How am I doing X, Y, Z?
Yeah.
If it's a blind stage, you don't know what you have. So now you have either shoots, no shoots, or both in the same room. I'm processing information, right? And then going back to what you all said, I can't tell you I got a perfect sight picture on anything, but I reference my sights.
Right.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Their
sir.
suggestion.
I think it's something that, yeah, it's a fun thing, but there's also value attached to it. If you look at it that way, and as Seth said, and everybody else said, the community is awesome,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, no doubt.
Um,
No doubt.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
the police matches that I participated in, right? In a squad, in my squad, it was like, hey, so can I borrow your sling? Yeah, man, here you go, right? Or
Mhm.
like you said, you got a couple rounds. Yeah. I'll pay you back. No, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it's like, hey, so you did a great job, or on this one you could pick up, and they'll give you tips,
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, definitely.
right?
Yeah.
It's invaluable.
And for
It's
those
it's
and
an
for those
awesome
shoot,
community, man. It's like I think somebody said this. We have commercialized this 2A thing, um, and it's not a bad thing, but it's a serious thing.
Yeah.
Right. And again, it's everybody's right to bear arms, this, that, and the other. Do it responsibly. You got a panel of awesome instructors from what I'm hearing, right? And if anybody's out there, man, find an instructor. Get with an instructor. Like I said, the fundamentals, that's the foundation.
There you go.
Get that and build off of that. Like Kaba said, you attend a class and it's like, okay, so I got this thing and I'm good. I said it all the time, and I said it when I was in law enforcement to students. You're mediocre at best. That's it.
Yep.
Right? You qualified.
Hey, we're all still working on them, man. All of us.
Right.
All of us.
For
all
sure.
of us are.
Yeah.
Right? You qualified, dude. That's all you did. You met the minimum standard. So
what your baby can do.
And that's what you'll fall back on.
right,
Real
your
life.
minimum thing, right?
Maybe.
Here's the other thing, and I don't know in this panel who's been in what situation. I don't know, but I promise you, the closest that you'll get to a situation without it being a two-way range, as I like to say, is USPSA. I think Seth said that. That timer goes off, you got a plan in your head, and it's happened to me. You got a plan in your head. I got the stage, I got it planned out. Shooter ready? Yup. Beep, and your plan just goes to shit.
Yeah.
When I hear beep, I hear a threat. That's what I hear.
Plan A,
Yep.
plan B,
Yep.
plan
There you
C
go.
is already gone. I'm already at Z, and I'm like, what the hell?
Yep.
How am
And then that's
how
this
am I
much
entering
stress
this
too.
thing?
That's this
Yeah.
much.
Right. So now make it a two-way range where you got rounds coming back at you. And this is in a law enforcement world. But now, like Kava said, now you put this person in a situation up against a wall, and he's at a 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock position, right? What plan do you have at that point in time? If your immediate thought is to go to your weapon instead of, hey, let me get this big dude off of me because I seen Kava. Let me try to get this big dude off of me, create some distance, and now I can get to this thing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right? That's plans A, B, and C for me.
See.
Yep.
I'll tell you what we say in the fire service. You're going to rise to your absolute lowest level of training. You're not going to rise to this giant adrenaline dump and rise above the occasion. You're going to rise to your lowest level of training.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And it could probably translate. That's what I would think.
Yeah.
No doubt.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
But
So go ahead,
you
finish
walk
up.
through life without a plan, man. I mean, like, it's good enough for law enforcement, then it's good enough for everybody else, right? The what if. The second I walk out the house, what if?
Yeah.
What if? I what if it all day long until I get back inside my home. Then I don't have to what if as much. Now it's like, what if somebody kicks on the door? I already know what's going on. I already know that answer.
What if?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Recastle.
I'm good. But throughout the course of the day, what if? Pumping gas, what if somebody XYZ?
Yeah.
In a convenience store, what if XYZ? Right?
Watch your surroundings everywhere you go.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
It's a mindset. And it's a mental drain if you do it enough. But again, going back to Seth said, you know, I'm not going to that lowest level of fight or flight, right? Rolling up, putting my thumb in the mouth, getting into the field. That ain't gonna be me,
No,
Right.
Right.
right? It's mindset, and then on top of that, you know, seek instructors, get some training, try USPSA match out. There's a whole bunch of stuff out there, but a lot of us or a lot of people just don't want to sacrifice time. That's what I think.
Yep.
That's what I think. It's time and sacrifice.
Absolutely, man. And with that being said, guys, I know it's 9:35. Time flies when you're having fun. Let me tell you, I know some people got to go to work in the morning. We got some people leaving the chat, but just want to let you know, let's do this again next Thursday. I appreciate everybody coming in and checking in. I appreciate Kaba being on, Mike the Shooter, SD Marines, and of course my range rats. You know, my brothers out there. I'm loving it. Thank you guys. Let's grow this channel. Let's do this. Have some real gun talk, some real instructor talk. We do have Mo that's gonna show up on a Thursday, and he's a grandmaster of USPSA. For you guys that don't know. I also got a good buddy of mine that runs MVP, which means merging vets and players out here in Chicago. Works a lot with the Chicago Bears. He's how I got my in with the Chicago Bears. He's going to come up and kind of talk about how he was able to run that chapter out here in Chicago. So we got some good stuff playing, guys. So I would love to have you guys back again next Thursday. Let's 7-8. What's better for everybody?
You just got to put it out there. I'll meet you.
Yeah.
You know, I'll be there.
Hey, yeah, and also too, does everybody have like Instagram so I can follow you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, can you guys put it in the chat there so I can follow you guys?
I think I'm
you
already
already got me.
Yeah. A few of you guys already have.
Yeah.
I would like to bring a couple of you guys back on as exclusive guests. Definitely, I'll be talking to you guys obviously off live. Bring you back on as exclusive guests, and let's really have a real two-way community talk and talk about situations that matter in our community. Two-way community, having a good time, shooting, doing whatever, guys. So I appreciate it again that you guys all checked in, man. And as always, like I always say, train hard, train often, right? Have a good one, man. God bless everybody, man.
Take care.
Thanks for having us.
Take care.
Peace.